welcome to On the Flip Side, where we're going to be spending the next few weeks getting some of our ideas about God, ourselves, and the world flipped on their heads. Yes, you heard me right. We're going to be talking about the idea of flipping a lot of things upside down. Have you guys ever been really confident about how something you thought was supposed to be true, but then in the end it kind of got flipped and your world kind of flipped upside down when you found out you were wrong? Like maybe, for example, you discovered that a rumor that you might have heard spreading around was actually completely made up. Or maybe you learned something that came out to be disproved, even though you thought this has to be 100% true. Or even realizing that somebody that you thought you actually couldn't stand was actually a really nice person. I've had a couple of moments like that myself. But there's this one instance that I want to share with you guys where I was had my whole world flipped upside down and my perspective was completely flipped because of this new information that I got. But it's happened a couple of times, but there's this one story I really want to share with you guys. And it was a story about the time I found out how much something cost, okay? So I have these two friends currently who love, and I mean love, shopping. And one day they were showing me this cute little bag. It was this big, okay? It was a tiny bag. And they were talking about how cute it was, how adorable it was. And when I saw it, I was like, that's a cute bag. I'm like, it's really small. What's the point of getting something that tiny? But it was cute, nice size, and it was branded. I think that's an important key to say. It was a branded bag, a brand name. Forgot the name. But anyways, this tiny, holds your essentials, your wallet, a lip gloss, yeah, whatever you need. So I'm guessing, I'm like, oh, it's so cute. Maybe I want to buy this for myself. So I'm like, oh guys, how much is it? $100? Because obviously $100 for a bag this big is excessive, yes, but it's branded. So I'm like, let's see. Guess how much it cost? It wasn't $100. It was $500 for a bag this size. And when I found that out, I was like, world completely upside down. It was mind-blowing for me to hear. And unfortunately, it's not just money that I'm really bad at estimating, but sometimes I'm not great in judging the value of other people either. And I'm gonna tell you guys a story about when I was in grade 8. Well, if you guys are in grade 8 currently, you guys might know, or if they still have it, there are awards that come at your graduation. There's a science award, there's a math award, gym award, you guys get your awards. So I knew I wasn't gonna get any of the smart awards because that was not my thing. But gym, I was like, I'm gonna get the gym award. And back then I would have deemed myself as the most athletic person in grade 8. I was so good at gym class. I liked joining sports teams and I did a lot of stuff when it came to sports. So I'm like, I'm gonna have this award in the bag. I'm gonna get it at graduation. I even joked with my gym teacher. I was like, you can just tell me that I'm gonna get the award, I was really confident that I was gonna get this award, and she brushed it off. But anyways, the time came, graduation came, and it was time for the awards. They were doing the math, the science, which I didn't have any hopes for. I knew they weren't gonna call my name, but gym came up. And it was a different gym teacher that was presenting the award. Not my usual, it was a different one. And I'm waiting, I'm getting the little bit of anxiety, waiting for my name to be called. And guess what? My name was not called for the award. It was somebody else, and I definitely felt very bitter in that moment. I thought somehow it was rigged because I knew that her mom was one of the helpers at the school. The gym teacher wasn't even my actual gym teacher, because if it was my gym teacher, I knew she would have picked me. So I was feeling all types of feelings, and I definitely felt in that moment that she did not deserve that award, and I thought I deserved it a lot more. So I was definitely feeling bitter and judging her for the value that she might have had towards receiving that award. And in that moment, I was so focused on my limited definition of value that I couldn't see the value in somebody else. And maybe you guys heard my story and can relate. Maybe you've been the person other people kind of overlooked or judged or even pushed aside because they didn't see the value in you. Or maybe you've been the person who has wrongly decided somebody was not worth your time, your energy, care, or even your respect. Or maybe you've been a little bit of both in situations. But no matter which person you guys have been or still are today, Jesus has something to say with the power to flip your perspective upside down when it comes to these situations. Vinyl records are part of an era that none of us live in anymore, but a bunch of us still come to appreciate. People collect records, maybe they play records, decorate the records, and just love that scratchy and earthy sound that you can get only from when a record label's needle hits that vinyl. And maybe the biggest difference between a vinyl record and maybe your favorite Spotify playlist is that when you're halfway through it, you gotta flip it. Sure, you can decide to just listen to the one side and just play the album from there. It would work just fine, but you'd be missing out on half of the music. If you want to hear the whole entire album, you gotta flip it. And meeting and learning from Jesus is a little bit like a vinyl record. There may be times where we think that we understand and believe a certain perspective, and maybe we think that's the whole picture. We'll believe what we've got things figured out. We'll feel pretty confident in our judgments about God and ourselves. But when Jesus shows up, he tends to flip everything upside down and show us a whole new perspective that we might not have ever really considered before. And with Jesus, we get the whole picture. Through him, our wrong assumptions are flipped and upside down and finally made right. When Jesus was here on earth, he spent a lot of time correcting people's incorrect beliefs about God, themselves, and even each other. At that time, a lot of people were under the assumption that God favored people who followed every single rule, who seemed really holy, who had everything all together. But Jesus' famous Sermon on the Mount flipped everything upside down for them. So let's read that together. Now when Jesus saw the crowd, he went up on the mountainside and sat down. His disciples came to him and began to teach them. He said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in heaven, for in the same way they persecuted prophets who were before you." Jesus wasn't exactly known for telling people what they wanted to hear. He flipped people's ideas about God, the world, and themselves completely upside down, usually in really uncomfortable ways. And this time, Jesus flipped people's assumptions about who mattered most to God. Some of the people Jesus was speaking to believed that God valued those who were more religious. But Jesus said that having things like power or status and even fame don't really get you bonus points or even special treatment with God. But according to Jesus, the people who were the most blessed in God's kingdom were people who were known for poverty, who were grieving, the ones who are really gentle and really kind, and those who were even suffering, because God values the people that the world often doesn't. I wonder how this news from Jesus would have been received differently by the different kinds of people who were within earshot. For the people listening who had often been overlooked or even undervalued, this was probably really good news. They likely would have told and believed that they were less deserving of love, care, or attention than the other people were. But now, Jesus was flipping their view of themselves upside down. According to Jesus, they were loved, they were cared for, they were seen and deeply valued by God. But for people who were listening, who were religious leaders, powerful, or even wealthy, Jesus' words may have seemed like bad news. After all, if you've always been seen yourself as better or more valuable than others, you don't really want to be told that you've had it all wrong this whole time. Jesus' messages was for everyone who showed up in the crowd that day, and for those who would hear the story later, like us. To all of us, Jesus makes it really clear. God sees and values people who are often overlooked. When you think that you don't matter or deserve to be overlooked and mistreated, Jesus flips that idea upside down. And when you think that you're better or more worthy of God's love than somebody else, Jesus flips that idea upside down as well. Right when we think that we have it all figured out, Jesus tends to flip the assumptions about who God values. Let's take, for example, the most valuable person or versus valuable player trophy. They're usually awarded to the people who do something exceptionally well. You have to earn those things, but Jesus showed us a new way of viewing what value looks like. Jesus shows us that you don't have to do a thing to earn your value. You are already valued simply because you're deeply loved by God who made you. Nothing that you can do can earn extra value in God's eyes. And here's what's really amazing. Nothing that you can do can take away that value either. Because we are all deeply loved by God, we can stop competing to see who's the most valuable. Instead, we can choose to value each other the same way that God values us. In the Sermon on the Mount, it's kind of like Jesus was giving away the most valuable people awards, but he was giving it to the most unlikely people. And if Jesus were preaching the same sermon here today, I wonder who he'd give a trophy to. Maybe he would mention the person who avoids the lunchroom, maybe because they aren't sure who they'd want to sit with. Or maybe he'd give the award to somebody who has endured years of bullying, trauma, or abuse. Or maybe to the person who doesn't look, sound, or dress like they fit in with the people around him. And when we think about it, once you figure out who God might give the MVP awards to, I wonder how you could value that person too. Are there ways that you can just maybe reach out and start a new friendship with them? Maybe you would start helping or defending them if you see that they need help. Or maybe just ask them how they're doing. And if you're here today and you find that you're the person who often feels like you aren't valued, I wonder how you could begin to find out more about your value in Jesus. We all struggle to believe that we're loved and valued sometimes, but if that's you, do you need to maybe get to know Jesus for the first time? Maybe is it time for you to spend time reading what God has to say about how much you are truly loved? Or maybe it's time for you to talk to God about how you're feeling and let God's Spirit talk to you. In Jesus' upside down kingdom, it's not the most perfect, popular, richest, or even most frequent church attender who gets the most valued by God. Jesus shows us that we are all valued, and to make that point, he puts attention on the people who are usually the most undervalued. And if you are feeling less than valuable today, I hope that you guys come to remember that Jesus loves you all so, so deeply. And if you're here today trying to prove your value to God or others, I just hope that you'll trust that you have nothing to prove because God already loves and values you. And if you've been overlooked or even hurting someone, Jesus values, and I hope that you guys make it right this week by choosing justice, mercy, and humility instead. Jesus flipped our assumptions about who God values. So how are some ways that you guys can go into this week and also value the same people God values? That's going to be my challenge for you guys today. Take some time just to see the people that you know that God comes to value. And when you come to see that, find different ways that you can value those same people as well. Okay, let's pray. Dear Jesus, thank you for today, God, and thank you for this reminder that the Sermon on the Mount had, where you just flipped our ideas of what value looks like to you, God. Sometimes in life, we tend to try to see the value in others and try to make assumptions about how we should be treating them. But I just pray that we have eyes to see the people that you value the most and learn to value them as well this week. And I pray all these things in your name. Amen. This was our first week of our very first series of the month of February, and I shall see you guys for week number 2 next week. See you guys!